Assalamualaikum guys, I'm your host Sadia Bukhari. I hope you are fine and safe in your homes. This lecture is especially for those students who are new to psychology. So keep your intention on the lecture and you're welcome to ask any question. So today we are going to keep a glance at these content. Theoretical perspective, why do we study psychology, basic concepts of psychology, course objectives, goals of psychology, areas of psychology. Psychology is the scientific study of behavior and mental processes, a human and animal. Behavior is overt, manifest, obvious, and easy to study. The mental processes that help carry out these behaviors are covert, underlying, hidden, and not easy to study. Besides behavior, what caused this behavior to occur and the mental processes involved in it is an important area of interest for a psychologist. Psychologists study animal behavior too, to better understand and predict human behavior. The study of animal behaviors become essential at times, especially because some researches cannot be carried out with humans due to safety reasons or ethical issues. There are many disciplines that study human nature. Psychology is one. Within psychology, the biological, behavioral, psychoanalytical, cognitive, and social culture perspective are complementary. Each has its own purposes, questions, and limits together. They provide a fuller understanding of mind and behavior. Biological model. The psychological model that views behavior from the perspective of biological functioning, the role of brain, genes, neurotransmitter, endocrine gland, etc. The psychoanalytical model concentrate on the belief that behavior is motivated by inner forces over which individuals have little control. It was founded by Sigmund Freud in early 90s. This psychological model focused on the overt observable behavior. It suggested that observable behavior should be the focus of intention, and J.B. Watson was the first person to advocate the behavioral approaches. And the cognitive approach focuses on how people understand, think about the world, and main emphasis of this approach is besides on people's understanding and thinking on describing the pattern and regularities of operation of our minds. The social culture model suggests that people are in control of their lives. It is considered as one of the newest and major approach of psychology, and this rejects the view that behavior is determined by automatic biological factors, unconscious processes, and by the environment. It suggests that people are in control of their lives. People are naturally inclined to develop toward higher level of maturity and fulfillment, and that and it given the opportunity will strive to reach their lives potential with full potential. Basic concepts of psychology. Concepts like learning, memorizing, retention, emotion, process of thinking, our sense organ work, etc. We will discuss also issues like what is normal and what is abnormal behavior, the interventions used for treating psychological problem, along with an overview of main and popular area of psychology will also be tackled. Misconceptions about psychology and psychologists. This is the most frequent thought that comes into the mind of people who believe that psychologists are like magicians who can tell everything about a person, his thoughts, feelings, emotion, personality, that all that other people cannot tell. This actually is not the case because psychologists are not magicians, and it's something like that. And they are professional, and they are, the area of their interest is basically the study of human behavior and mental processes, and this required good observation as well as good prediction. Another important thing that has to be kept in mind that not all of those have the degree in psychology can understand, explain, and predict the personality of behavior of person, because it mainly required not just good observation but proper training as well. The second other misconception is psychologists can predict fate or destiny. This is not actually the case. People have these views because they see the psychologists are capable of accurately telling what type of people other are and what they can capable of doing, what are their potentials and capacities, etc. In reality, the case is different. Since psychologists can only predict not the destiny, but the direction that can not adopt in future. A psychologist can assess and predict personalities and behavior because they get professional training for studying human behavior, and that is why they can easily tell what type of person one is, and what might be his potential, and how much he or she is capable of performing certain tasks. That's it. Another very common misconception is that psychologists are doctors. Psychologists are not at all doctors. They're specially trained people who deal with the psychological problem and not the medical problem. Psychiatrists, on the other hand, are doctors who have professional degree in medicine as well as training, and they're trained in treating those suffering from psychological problems. And the last very common misconception is psychologists give medicine. Not psychologists, but psychiatrists are the one who prescribe medicine to the mentally ill patient, and they have professional degree in medicine, so they can prescribe medication. Goals of psychology. Main goals: to understand the nature and mechanism of behavior and mental processes, to develop an understanding of the relationship between behavior and mental processes, to apply this understanding to real life situations, and on the basis of this understanding predict for the future, to employ the scientific approach for developing these understanding. Short goals: observation, description, understanding, explanation, prediction, control of human behavior and mental processes. Scope of psychology in education as a lecturer or teaching, a researcher, hospital settings, clinics, screening agencies, specialized professional settings such as armed force, social welfare, etc. So these are the popular area of psychology. Clinical psychology, a branch of psychology concerned with the study, diagnosis, and treatment of abnormal behavior, and it is the oldest and as well as the most well known branch of psychology. Clinical psychologists are trained to diagnose and treat problems ranging from the everyday crisis of life, such as grief due to the death of loved one, and to more extreme conditions such as loss of touch with the family. Organizational psychology, a branch of psychology that studies the psychology in action at the workplace, including productivity, job satisfaction, and decision making. Health psychology, the branch of psychology that explores the relationship of psychological factor and physical ailment or diseases. For example, health psychologists are interested in how the long-term stress can affect physical health, and they're also concerned with identify way of promoting behavior related to good health, such as exercise, or discouraging unhealthy behavior such as smoking, drinking. Consumer psychology, a branch of psychology that studies and explains our buying habits and our effect of advertising our buying behavior, mainly dealt with the likes and dislikes and preferences of people. Environmental psychology. This is the branch of psychology that deals with the relationship between people and their physical environment. Environmental psychology psychologists have made significant progress and to understand how our physical environment affect the way that we behave towards others, our emotions, and how much stress we experience in a particular settings. Sports psychology, the branch of psychology that studies the psychological variable that have an impact upon the sports person's performance. For example, how stress can affect sports performance, how morale can be boosted, the role of self-concept and self-esteem, the impact of crowd behavior. Forensic psychology, the branch of psychology that investigate legal issues and psychological variable involved in criminal behavior. Example given: what factor determine criminal tendencies, how criminal be reformed, deciding what criteria indicate that a person is legally insane, and whether larger and smaller juries make fairer decisions. So, why would you study psychology? You will answer that, and I want to know how much you understand about psychology and why did you choose psychology. So, please answer honestly. I'm waiting your answer. Keep smiling. See you next lecture. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.